I've always hated hospitals. The sterile smell of antiseptic, the too bright lights, the way the air feels heavy with unspoken fear. It's like the walls themselves have absorbed decades of bad news. But tonight, lying in this stiff white bed with an IV in my arm, I can't help but feel strangely calm. Maybe it's the exhaustion. Maybe it's because at 68, I've learned that worrying doesn't change a thing. The truth is, I didn't think I'd end up here. One minute, I was in my kitchen making cornbread for Sunday supper. The next, the room spun, my knees gave out, and I woke up on this bed with a nurse telling me I'd passed out cold. Now I'm just waiting for the test to come back, for someone to tell me what's wrong, or that nothing's wrong at all. The clock on the wall ticks loudly, each second stretching like an hour. I try to focus on my breathing, in and out, just like Dr. Miller taught me during my last checkup. My mind drifts, unbidden, to my children. Sarah, my eldest, will be here first. She's always been the responsible one, though lately her responsibility has started to feel more like control. Sarah thinks I can't make a decision without her, like I'm some fragile porcelain doll that might shatter if left alone. David will show up next, probably straight from work, still in his button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, talking about market trends and expansion plans for the family hardware store. He's been pushing to modernize it ever since Robert, my husband, their father, passed away. Robert always believed in keeping things simple and personal, but David has bigger ideas. Too big, maybe. And then there's Emily, my baby. She's 34 now, though you wouldn't always know it from the way she drifts through life. Sweet, soft-hearted Emily. She's been lost ever since her divorce, and though she tries to hide it, I see the worry in her eyes. I try not to let it show, but I worry for her most of all. They haven't been in the same room together since last Thanksgiving, and even that ended with Sarah slamming a door and David storming out. I keep hoping they'll find their way back to each other, the way siblings should. Robert used to say, "Family is like a quilt, Martha. Patchy, worn in places, but stitched together with love." I've held on to that image like a lifeline since he died 3 years ago. I've done everything I can to keep our family stitched together, but sometimes, no matter how hard you try, the seams just won't hold. A nurse walks in, checks my vitals, and offers me a polite smile before disappearing again. Alone once more, I stare at the ceiling tiles and let my thoughts wander back to Robert. He worked himself to the bone for that hardware store, starting with a single room and a few shelves of tools. When he passed, he left behind more than a business. He left a legacy. It's not a fortune like you read about in magazines, but it's enough to keep our family comfortable for generations if handled wisely. That thought brings me a small measure of comfort. No matter what the tests say, at least I've provided for my children. Still, a shadow of unease creeps over me. Lately, I've noticed a shift in the way Sarah talks about my finances, how David insists on taking over for my own good, how Emily seems almost afraid to ask me for help. I keep telling myself it's just me being paranoid, that they love me for me, not for what I can give them. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, whispering a prayer into the quiet room. Please, Lord, let the news be good. Let my children be united when I need them most. But somewhere deep inside, a tiny voice whispers back, "Be careful what you wish for, Martha, because love isn't the only thing that binds a family together. Sometimes it's greed." The sound of voices filters in through the crack in the door. At first, they're soft, almost soothing. My children arriving, like they always do when I need them most. For a moment, I imagine them walking in together, holding hands the way they used to when they were little. Back then, their biggest fights were over who got the last cookie or which movie we'd watch on family night. Robert would laugh and say someday they'll be each other's greatest allies. I hold on to that memory like a lifeline. But then, the tone of their voices shifts. No warmth, no laughter, just sharp edges and bitterness. I keep my eyes closed, feigning sleep. It feels wrong to listen, but my body freezes. Something deep in my gut tells me I need to hear this. Sarah, you don't get to make that decision for all of us, David snaps. His voice carries the same commanding tone he uses in board meetings. Dad left the business to all three of us, not just you. Don't lecture me, Sarah shoots back, her voice tight, clipped. While you're off chasing corporate dreams, who do you think has been here every single day taking care of Mom? Me, not you, not Emily. There's a pause, then Emily's timid voice. That's not fair, Sarah. I visit Mom as much as I can. Sarah cuts her off. Visiting isn't the same as caring, Emily. You have no idea how much work it takes to manage everything. The doctor bills, the house upkeep, her meds. Medications, Emily's voice trembles. Is she really that bad? My heart clenches. She sounds so worried, so small. But before I can process it, David scoffs loudly. Oh, please, Sarah's exaggerating. Mom's not some helpless invalid. She's fine. This is about control, plain and simple. You just want the lion's share of the inheritance. The word inheritance lands like a punch to the chest. For a moment, I think I've misheard. But then Sarah's voice hardens like steel. Someone has to take responsibility, David. When Mom passes, the business will need a strong hand, and you can't even manage your own finances without a consultant. You'd run it into the ground. I suck in a silent breath, my fingers clutching the stiff hospital sheet. This isn't a conversation about love or grief or what's best for me. It's about money. It's about what happens after I'm gone. Emily's voice cracks. Can we not talk about Mom dying like she's already gone? She's still here. She won't be forever, Sarah says coldly. We need to plan ahead. I've already spoken with the attorney about transferring the deed into my name. Once the paperwork's ready. What? David explodes. You went behind our backs? Are you insane, Sarah? That's our legacy too. I'm protecting it, Sarah hisses. If we leave it to you two, you'll sell it off for quick cash or... You mean like you? David sneers. Because I've seen your credit card bills, Sarah. You're drowning in debt, and now you're circling like a vulture, waiting for Mom to die so you can cover your mess. The words hang in the air like poison. For a split second, there's only silence. Then Emily sobs softly, the sound breaking my heart clean in two. Stop it, she pleads. Both of you. This isn't what Dad would have wanted. I want to leap out of bed, grab them all by the shoulders, and shake them until they remember who they are, who we are as a family, but I can't move. I can barely breathe. The truth settles over me like a heavy, suffocating blanket. My children aren't united in love or concern for me. They're circling, calculating, positioning themselves for what they'll gain when I'm gone. My hands tremble as tears spill silently down my cheeks. I think of all the sleepless nights spent nursing fevers, of the sacrifices Robert and I made to give them a better life. And this is what it's come to. Somewhere in the hallway, a nurse's shoes squeak against the linoleum, startling them into silence. I squeeze my eyes shut as the door handle turns. The doctor's calm voice breaks the tension. Mrs. Reynolds, I have your test results. I quickly swipe at my tears, schooling my features into a mask of frailty. Whatever happens next, they won't see me break, not yet. The door swings open, and in walks Dr. Jacob Miller, his familiar, reassuring presence filling the sterile room. He's been my physician for years. Kind eyes, calm demeanor, the type of man who can deliver even the worst news with a gentleness that softens the blow. Tonight, though, his smile is unusually wide, almost cheerful. Mrs. Reynolds, he says warmly, glancing at the monitor beside my bed. How are you feeling? Like I got run over by a tractor, I mutter, forcing a weak chuckle. My voice comes out softer than usual, partly from exhaustion, partly because my 3 children are sitting just beyond the foot of the bed, watching me like hawks. Sarah is perched rigidly on the edge of the chair, her arms crossed, her expression pinched. David leans against the wall, trying to look casual but failing. His jaw is clenched tight. Emily sits closest to me, her hands twisting nervously in her lap, her eyes red from crying. I can still feel the echo of their argument in the air like smoke that refuses to dissipate. Dr. Miller's gaze shifts to my children briefly before returning to me. "Well," he begins, "I have your test results back." My breath catches. For a split second, fear surges through me. Fear of cancer, of a failing heart, of some silent disease creeping through my body. But then he says the words I least expect. "Everything looks excellent. Your heart is strong, your blood pressure's good, and all your scans are clear." I blink, unsure if I've heard him correctly. "Clear?" He nods, his smile widening. "Clear. There's no underlying illness, Martha. You're in remarkably good shape for your age, healthier than many people 10 years younger." My jaw nearly drops. Relief rushes through me so fast my eyes sting with tears. I've been bracing myself for bad news, for the possibility that my time was running out. Instead, I've just been given a gift. More time. More life. But before I can fully process it, Dr. Miller adds with a knowing twinkle, "Frankly, you're healthier than all three of them." He gestures lightly toward my children, who freeze like deer caught in headlights. I glance at them, catching their stunned expressions. Sarah's mouth falls open. David's brow furrows in disbelief. Emily, bless her heart, just looks confused. My pulse quickens, not from fear now, but from something sharper, a realization blooming in my chest. They came here tonight expecting weakness, expecting decline. But I am not weak. Then, the fainting? I ask, still playing the part of the concerned patient. "Likely dehydration and stress," Dr. Miller says matter-of-factly. "You've been pushing yourself too hard. Drink plenty of fluids, rest a bit, and you'll be good as new." He places a gentle hand on mine, his tone softening. "Martha, you have nothing to worry about. You're going to be just fine." I swallow hard, nodding. "Thank you, doctor." Inside, my emotions are a swirling storm. Relief, yes, but also something darker. Anger, betrayal. Because now I know the truth. While I lay here, vulnerable and scared, my children were out in the hall dividing me up like property, already counting the spoils of my death. And now I know I'm perfectly healthy, perfectly capable of fighting back. I glance at them again, forcing my expression into one of frail gratitude. Sarah offers a tight smile, but there's a flicker of irritation in her eyes, like my good health has ruined her plans. David avoids my gaze entirely, his mind clearly spinning with calculations. Emily squeezes my hand, whispering, "Thank God you're okay, Mom." I give her a small, trembling smile. Thank God indeed. When Dr. Miller leaves, the silence between us grows thick and awkward. Finally, Sarah clears her throat. "Well, that's great news, Mom," she says, her tone brittle. "Yes," I reply softly, though my mind is anything but soft, because in that moment a decision begins to take shape inside me. They think I'm fragile. They think I don't see what they're doing. Fine, let them believe it. If they want to treat me like I'm one breath away from the grave, I'll let them. But when the time comes, it won't be me lying helpless in this bed. It'll be them. The next morning, sunlight streams through the thin hospital curtains, warm and golden, but I keep my eyes half closed, my body still. I've made a decision. Last night, lying awake after Dr. Miller's revelation, I realized that knowledge is power. My children believe I'm fragile, one foot in the grave. If they want to see me as weak, I'll give them exactly what they expect, while I watch, listen, and learn. It's almost laughable. Sarah, David, and Emily think they know me so well. They think I'm too soft-hearted to suspect their motives or challenge their plans. But Robert didn't marry a fool. And if I've learned anything in my 68 years, it's this. Sometimes, the best way to fight isn't to raise your voice. It's to stay quiet and let people show you who they really are. Sarah bursts into the room with her usual brisk efficiency, a paper cup of coffee in one hand and a folder tucked under her arm. "Well, Mom," she says brightly, though her eyes skim over me like she's assessing a piece of furniture. "You gave us all quite a scare. But don't worry. I'll handle everything from here on out." I give her a feeble smile, forcing a tremor into my voice. "Oh, Sarah, I don't want to be a burden." "You're not a burden," she assures me, patting my hand with faux tenderness. "But you shouldn't worry about bills or paperwork anymore. Just focus on resting." Her tone makes it clear what she really means. Stay out of the way. When she steps out to take a phone call, I catch a glimpse of the folder she left behind. My sharp old eyes read the words on the cover. Property Transfer Agreement. My stomach twists, but I keep my expression neutral when she returns. "Everything okay, honey?" I ask softly. Sarah's smile is tight. "Just business stuff, Mom. Nothing for you to worry about." I nod, pretending to accept her answer. Inside, a different Martha is taking notes, memorizing every lie, every slip of the tongue. David comes later, his cologne preceding him like a warning. He sits at the edge of my bed, his phone in one hand, typing furiously even as he talks to me. "Hey, Mom," he says distractedly. "I've been looking at some expansion opportunities. Taking Dad's store into a more modern direction. Online sales, bulk shipping, maybe even franchising." "That sounds ambitious," I murmur, playing the doting, clueless mother. "Exactly." His eyes light up with excitement. Or is it greed? But to really make it work, I need full control of the business. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Full control. There it is. He's not talking about legacy or family pride. He's talking about ownership, power, money. I let my hand tremble slightly as I reach for his. "Oh, David, you've always been so smart. Your father would be proud." He squeezes my hand, but there's a coldness in his grip, a calculation that makes my skin crawl. Emily, my sweet, broken Emily, arrives last. She doesn't posture like the others. She just sits by my side, her head bowed. "I'm so sorry, Mom," she whispers, tears shining in her eyes. "I should have been here more. I've just been overwhelmed." I stroke her hair gently, my heart aching. Of all my children, she's the one who still seems reachable. But there's something she's hiding, too. I can see it in the way her shoulders hunch, the way she can't meet my gaze. "Whatever it is, Emily," I say softly, "you can tell me." She shakes her head quickly. "Later, when you're stronger." I nod, pretending to accept that too. Over the next few days, I refine my performance. I move slowly, let my voice wobble, and sprinkle my sentences with sighs. I allow Sarah to fuss over me, David to explain his business ideas as if I'm too feeble to understand, and Emily to sit quietly by my side. Meanwhile, when no one's looking, I'm making phone calls of my own. To Helen Parker, my lawyer and old friend, to Dr. Miller, to confirm details that might come in handy later, and to the bank, to quietly move funds where my children can't reach them. They think they're in control. They have no idea that I'm the one setting the stage. As I drift off to sleep one night, a smile ghosts across my lips. Let them circle like vultures. Let them fight and plot. When the time comes, they'll realize the mistake they made in underestimating me. And by then, it will be far too late. I've always believed a mother knows her children better than anyone. I thought I knew mine. Every quirk, every strength, every weakness. But as the days pass, and I watch them with my quiet, careful eyes, I begin to realize how much they've hidden from me and how much I've chosen not to see. It starts with Sarah. One afternoon, she's tidying up my nightstand, something she insists on doing herself, when a folded piece of paper slips from her purse and flutters to the floor. "Oops," she mutters, reaching for it, but I'm quicker. "What's this?" I ask, keeping my voice light. "Oh, just a receipt," she says too quickly. "Nothing important." She snatches it from my hand, stuffs it back into her bag, and plasters on a smile. That night, when she's gone, I call Helen Parker, my lawyer and old friend. Helen has a knack for finding the truth, and I ask her to quietly look into Sarah's finances. 2 days later, Helen calls me back, her voice low and grave. "Martha, you need to know, Sarah's been siphoning money from your joint accounts for years. Small amounts at first, but lately it's grown." My breath catches. "How much?" "Nearly $75,000. I grip the phone so tightly my knuckles ache. Sarah, my firstborn, my steady rock, has been stealing from me while smiling to my face and insisting she only wants what's best for me. Helen hesitates before adding, and her credit cards are maxed out. She's drowning in debt, Martha. She's desperate. I sit there in stunned silence, the betrayal cutting deeper than I imagined possible. Sarah isn't just greedy, she's sinking, and she's willing to drag me down with her. With David, the truth comes out by accident. He's in my kitchen one evening talking fast about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. His words slick and polished like a salesman's pitch. I nod along, feigning confusion, until he steps out to take a call. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I glance at the open briefcase he's left on the table. Right there, on top, is a printed email thread. The subject line makes my blood run cold. Offer to purchase Reynolds Hardware. I read the first few lines and feel the room tilt. David isn't just talking about modernization, he's selling Robert's store outright to a national chain that would gut everything my husband built with his own 2 hands. I slip the papers back into place before he returns, my heart pounding, my face calm. When he looks at me, he sees the same doting, oblivious mother, but inside, something sharp and cold has taken root. Emily's secret is different, softer, sadder, but no less devastating. Late one night, when the house is quiet, I hear muffled sobbing from the guest room where she's been staying. I go to her door and knock gently. "Emily, sweetheart, are you okay?" There's a long pause before she opens the door, her eyes red and puffy. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispers, thrusting a crumpled letter into my hands. It's from a collections agency. The numbers blur together as I read, but the message is clear. She owes thousands in gambling debts. "I just wanted to feel in control again," she says through tears. "After the divorce, everything fell apart. I thought I could win it back, but it just kept getting worse. And now they're threatening me, Mom." Her words slice through me. Unlike Sarah or David, Emily isn't motivated by greed. She's drowning in shame and fear. I gather her into my arms, stroking her hair as she sobs. "We'll fix this," I whisper, my voice steady. "But Emily, you have to trust me. No more secrets." She nods, trembling. "No more." When I return to my room, I sit in the dark, staring out the window at the quiet street below. One by one, my children's true selves have been revealed to me. Sarah, the thief. David, the betrayer. Emily, the broken soul on the edge of ruin. And me? I am a fool who loved them too blindly for too long, but no more. Robert worked himself to the bone for this family, and I will not let his legacy be destroyed by greed and deceit. My tears dry, replaced by a fierce, burning resolve. I know what I must do now. The pieces are in place. It's time to show my children that their mother may be old, but she is far from powerless. The day of the meeting arrives crisp and cold, the kind of Virginia morning where frost clings stubbornly to the edges of the windows and every breath feels sharp in your lungs. I sit at the head of the long mahogany table in Helen Parker's office, wrapped in a soft gray shawl, my hands folded neatly in my lap. The picture of frailty. It's an act, of course, a performance I've perfected over the last week. My children believe I'm still declining, that this meeting is to ensure everything is in order before my inevitable passing. If only they knew. Helen sits beside me, her expression composed but alert. We've spent hours preparing for this moment, every detail carefully planned. She gives me a subtle nod. "Are you ready, Martha?" she whispers. I glance toward the door as footsteps echo down the hall. "My children are here." "More than ready," I murmur. Sarah sweeps in first, heels clicking sharply against the hardwood, her chin held high. She takes the seat directly across from me, setting down a leather planner as if this is just another business meeting. David follows, looking irritated and impatient. He doesn't sit immediately, pacing like a caged animal. His tie is loosened, his sleeves rolled up, his energy buzzing with barely concealed aggression. Emily enters last, shoulders slumped, hands clasped tightly together. She gives me a small, sad smile before sitting beside me. Thank you all for coming, Helen begins smoothly. As you know, your mother asked me to finalize some important matters today regarding her estate. Sarah leans forward. We just want what's best for Mom. David snorts. Sure you do. David, I say softly, letting my voice quaver. Please, let's not fight. They all go silent, at least outwardly. Inside, I can feel the tension pulsing like a live wire. Helen opens a folder and pulls out a crisp document. First, I'll read the initial draft of Martha's will, she says. As she begins, I watch their faces closely. The draft divides everything equally. The house, the hardware store, the savings. Sarah immediately relaxes, her lips curving into a smug little smile. David sits back, his shoulders loosening slightly. Emily blinks rapidly, relief softening her expression. Perfect. They've taken the bait. Now, Helen says, her voice sharpening slightly, here's the finalized version, which your mother signed 3 days ago. The room shifts. Sarah's eyes narrow. David leans forward, tense again. Even Emily looks uneasy. Helen clears her throat and begins reading. The family home will be sold, with the proceeds going to a local shelter for women and children. Reynolds Hardware will be placed in a trust, run by Robert's most loyal employees, ensuring it stays true to his vision and cannot be sold. Sarah, David, and Emily will each receive a modest sum, enough to help them, but far less than they expected. A special clause for Emily, a conditional fund to pay off her debts, contingent on her completing counseling and demonstrating responsible behavior. When Helen finishes, silence crashes down like a falling tree. Then Sarah explodes. "What the hell is this?" she screeches, slamming her hands on the table. "You can't just give away our inheritance, Mom. That store belongs to us." David's face flushes an angry red. "You went behind our backs," he growls. "I deserve that business. I've been running it for years." Emily bursts into tears, clutching my hand. "Oh, Mom, I don't deserve this kindness. I'm so sorry." I let their reactions wash over me before slowly rising to my feet, leaning heavily on the chair for effect. "My sweet children," I say softly, my voice trembling. "This is what I believe is best. Your father worked too hard to have his legacy torn apart by greed." Sarah glares at me, her face twisted with rage. "This isn't about Dad. It's about you punishing us." Her words are like knives, but I don't flinch. Not yet. I simply sit back down, folding my hands, and glance at Helen. "Please continue," I say. Helen gives me a small, knowing smile, because the real surprise hasn't been revealed yet. That part comes next. The room feels like it's holding its breath. Sarah is still standing, trembling with fury, her manicured hands clutching the table's edge. David's pacing like a cornered animal, his shoes thudding against the hardwood. Emily sits crumpled in her chair, her face streaked with tears, gripping my hand like it's the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. And me? I sit perfectly still, my face soft, my posture frail, until the moment I decide it's time to stop pretending. "Enough," I say, my voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. They all freeze. Even Sarah stops mid-rant, her mouth snapping shut in shock. I rise to my feet, not slowly and shakily, but with deliberate, steady strength. My shawl slips from my shoulders, revealing a woman not weak and withering, but alive, vibrant and very much in control. For a heartbeat, no one speaks. They just stare at me, wide-eyed as if seeing me, clearly for the first time. Sarah's voice comes out in a whisper. "Mom, what are you doing? You shouldn't be standing like that." "Oh, please," I say sharply, my tone laced with ice. "Stop pretending you care about my health. We all know that's not why you're here." Her cheeks flush crimson. "That's not true." "Isn't it?" I take a step closer, my gaze sweeping over all three of them. "Do you think I didn't hear you in the hallway at the hospital, arguing over my things while I was lying in that bed, talking about deeds and percentages like vultures circling a carcass?" Emily gasps softly, her hands flying to her mouth. David's eyes dart to the floor. Sarah stiffens, then raises her chin defiantly. "You weren't supposed to hear that." "No," I agree, my voice low and fierce. "I wasn't, but I did, and it broke something inside me." I let the words hang there, heavy and suffocating before continuing. For days, I lay there, listening, watching, pretending to be weaker than I am. I wanted to believe it was just stress talking, that you were scared for me. I turned to Sarah first, my voice trembling with controlled rage. "But then I found out you've been stealing from me. $75,000, Sarah, from your own mother, and all while claiming you were the one taking care of me." Her face goes pale. I can explain." "No, you can't." I cut her off with a sharp flick of my hand. I pivot to David, whose jaw tightens like he's preparing for a blow. "And your father bled for that store. He built it with his bare hands, and you were ready to sell it to the highest bidder, like it was just another business deal. Do you have any idea what that place means to this family, to your father's memory?" David opens his mouth, then closes it again, unable to defend himself. Finally, I turn to Emily, my voice softening. "My sweet girl, you made mistakes, yes, but you came to me with honesty, not lies. That's why I gave you a path forward, a chance to rebuild. You deserve that much." Emily bursts into tears, falling against me, her sobs racking her body. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'll do better. I promise." Straightening, I face Sarah and David once more. My heart aches, but my spine remains iron strong. "You've mistaken my love for weakness," I tell them, my voice steady and cold. "You saw me as an obstacle or a resource, not as your mother, not as a person. Well, hear me now. I am still alive. I am still in charge, and I will not let greed destroy this family." Sarah's mouth twists into a snarl. "This isn't over," she spits. "You'll regret this." "No," I say, meeting her glare head on. "The only thing I regret is raising children who care more about money than the woman who gave them life." David storms out without another word, his footsteps echoing down the hall like gunshots. Sarah follows moments later, slamming the door so hard the walls shake. The room falls silent except for Emily's soft sniffles. I sink into my chair, exhausted but unbroken. Helen places a hand over mine, her eyes filled with quiet pride. "You did it, Martha," she says softly. "Yes," I whisper, my gaze fixed on the door through which Sarah and David fled. "They thought I was dying, but they were wrong." Emily clutches my hand tightly, and for the first time in a long time, I feel hope stirring. I'm just getting started. The next morning, the house is quiet. Too quiet. I sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, watching the steam rise and curl like ghosts above the rim. The sunlight filters through the curtains, casting warm gold over the worn wooden counters and the small cracks in the linoleum floor. This house has held my family's laughter, tears, and arguments for nearly 4 decades. It feels different today, lighter somehow. Last night was the breaking point, and while my heart aches, there's also a strange sense of relief in knowing the truth. There's no more pretending, no more clinging to illusions of harmony that never truly existed. Sarah and David didn't call. I didn't expect them to. I don't know when or if they'll come back, but I do know one thing. If they ever do, it'll be on my terms, not theirs. Emily comes down the stairs, her hair pulled back into a messy bun. She looks exhausted, like she's been up all night crying, but there's a quiet determination in her eyes that I haven't seen in years. "Morning, Mom," she says softly, sliding into the chair across from me. "Morning, sweetheart." I pour her a cup of coffee and push it toward her. For a while, we just sit there, sipping in silence. Finally, Emily breaks it. "I can't believe what Sarah and David said yesterday. It was awful. But I'm glad you said what you did. You were amazing." I smile faintly. "Amazing?" I felt like my heart was going to pound right out of my chest. "But you didn't let them see that," she says firmly. "You stood your ground." Her words warm me more than the coffee. I had to, I say quietly. For too long, I let them treat me like I was fragile, like I was just waiting to die. I shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping. Well, turns out I'm healthier than all of them put together. Emily laughs softly, but her eyes shine with tears. You're the strongest person I know. We finish breakfast, and while Emily heads out to run errands, I gather a box of old photographs and papers from the attic. As I flip through the photos, memories flood in. Robert holding baby Sarah, David's first baseball game, Emily's high school graduation. Those were the days when love felt simple and whole. I pause at a photo of Robert in front of the hardware store, his hands on his hips and a proud smile on his face. My throat tightens. I did right by you, Robert, I whisper. Our legacy will stay intact. No one's tearing it apart on my watch. Later that afternoon, Helen stops by to check on me. She finds me in the garden, kneeling beside a row of marigolds. Already back to work, I see. She teases gently. Life goes on, I say, brushing dirt from my gloves. Helen sits on the bench, her expression soft. You know, Martha, not many people would have had the courage to do what you did yesterday. Courage, I echo, settling beside her. It didn't feel like courage. It felt like survival. She nods. Survival takes courage, too. As evening falls, Emily returns with groceries. Together we cook dinner and eat at the old oak table, just the two of us. It's quiet but peaceful. Afterward, we sit on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. Emily leans her head on my shoulder. Mom? She says softly. Yes, darling. Do you think Sarah and David will ever come back? I sigh, my gaze fixed on the horizon. I don't know, I admit. But if they do, I hope it's because they've remembered what really matters. Not money, not things, but family. Emily nods, sniffling. As darkness settles, I take a deep breath and let it out slowly, feeling lighter than I have in years. This isn't the ending I imagined, but it's not the ending of me. For so long, I let fear and guilt hold me hostage. Now I have clarity, I have strength, and I have a future to write on my own terms. I rise from the porch and take Emily's hand. Come on, I say with a small, determined smile. Tomorrow's a new day, let's make it count. As we walk inside together, I glance back at the night sky, whispering a silent vow to myself and to Robert. No more pretending, no more silence. From this moment on, I live for me, and for the love that truly remains.